Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Recruiters with No Limits. Always live and never scripted. I'm here with my sidekick and co-host, John Ruffini. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, Richard?
Hey, not much, my man. And our guest today, he's a good friend of mine, big supporter on social media, Dean, Tech Recruiters 360 from Toronto, Canada.
That's right. Toronto's in the house.
That is right, man. I tell you what, Dean, and we got some good stuff to talk about today, John. But I tell you what, before we even start, I want to roll a clip here. It's the February job report in the States here. So we're going to show this up real quick. Look at this. Can I say, yeehaw, we are growing month by month.
That was a good report.
What do you think real quick, John, on that? I tell you what, unemployment rate's dropping, buddy.
Unemployment rate's dropping, but our challenge has always been the rate's been dropping, but the number of open jobs has been rising. So it's been kind of a conflicting message. This was an encouraging job report. They beat, the projected, the non-farm payroll is increasing. So, all we can do is hope this continues because there's plenty of companies out there that continue to need skilled professionals to join their teams.
Hey, remember, growth is always good. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Dean, I got to ask you, over in Canada, what's going on there with the job growth for the month?
Yeah, well, I don't have any numbers to share. I wasn't prepared for that, but things are definitely improving over here. I think it's pretty similar to America, and things are. Definitely in tech, there's an abundance of opportunities out there. The biggest challenge that companies are facing is, firstly, not being able to find people quick enough, and secondly, that people are way more choosier. Because there's a lot of options out there for people in tech.
Do you feel they're more content to wait for that right opportunity as opposed to let me just take this contract and get some money rolling in and we'll figure it out after that?
Yeah, exactly, John. Right, because it's like the power has kind of shifted to the candidate where they're like, okay, there's a whole bunch of opportunities out there. I'm not in any rush to make a switch. They're now not really under any pressure to make a switch into anything. So they're in a position to be much more choosier, and this is also resulting in salaries and rates going up as well.
Wow. Yes, so now, as a recruiter and one that has been very successful, a top performer, high performer, if you will, how has your craft changed in this climate when talking to candidates? Like, what have you had to, how has your game changed? How has your messaging changed? What are the challenges you're facing now that maybe you didn't face 2-3 years ago?
Yeah. Compared to 2-3 years ago, you could, I think as a recruiter, you can pretty much get, you can generally get by, focusing only on those easy finds, right? Like people just applying for the job postings, people applying for the LinkedIn job postings, and people that are on your database. I feel now what's changed, at least for me personally, is taking a more sovereign approach in uncovering those passive candidates. So
you're back to a major proactive hunting mode.
Exactly, right. So way more proactive, and you just can't depend on just the active job seekers, because guess what? That's what everyone else is going after as well, right? The other competing agencies, competing recruiters, other organizations out there. And the other thing is definitely building a strong brand has become way more important now as a way to attract those inbound leads, being known in the industry, being that go-to person, way more important than a couple of years back. And I remember a couple of years back, I've been pretty active on social media. People used to be like, hey, Dean, what are you doing? Why are you wasting time with these videos and these, posts and all this stuff? And now I'm like, this is why.
Exactly. And John, if you don't know, but Dean always has tips every week on social media about recruiting and everything. I got to ask you, Dean, your company Tech Recruiters 360, less than a year old. What's taking you to the next level? How are you branding yourself as the ultimate tech recruiter in Canada?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, I can't remember who said it, but someone said that attention is the new currency. Right. And in terms of, getting attention for yourself, like you have to attract that attention to yourself as being kind of the thought leader, the thought leader in your space for the industry, as well as being that person that people in the industry you recruit for, they see you, they know who you are, you're everywhere. So, speaking at events, like since 2019, I've probably spoken at over 40 events. Since COVID, that's pretty much, I mean, it's gone up. Now, mind you, these are not paid events, and I'm fine with that. The point is, it gives me an opportunity to, again, publicize who I am, what I do, what I'm recruiting, and it's just giving me so many opportunities to meet people in the space that I recruit in, right? So,
and each one of those speaking engagements, you are promoting your personal brand.
Exactly. And it's so important, right? And you know, some people I tell this about, you know, they're like, well, Dean, you're not getting paid for these events. You know, what's the point? Well, I would say, you know, to those of you out there thinking like that, you know, don't think just about the immediate return. Like, this is a long-term investment, right? It's not going to be something like you're not going to go to an event and maybe place someone right away, right then and there. But it might yield more connections, and you know, those people are going to refer other people to you, and it's just it has this snowball effect, right? So the more you put yourself out there, I think that is the most valuable currency. You have to be seen as the thought, you know, the person in the space that you're recruiting. It's so important.
You know, he summed it up there, right, John? What I always say: giving equals growth. Right there, it is.
Giving does equal growth, and you can't be short-sighted. You can't just look for, oh, I'm not going to make money, so I'm not going to do this. It's more about the money. You've got to be long-term focused, meaning, okay, I might do this for free, but really, you know, what recruiter, we could liken it to, you know, we always attended networking events pre-COVID, and even during COVID, they were virtual networking events. You know, if you're placing, you know, database professionals, if you're placing Java developers, you're trying to go to those networking events where those people hang out. Just, you know, you're not looking to make money. You're looking to network, to meet people, to make connections, to promote your brand. So you've got to make that, you're investing in yourself by doing all those things.
Yeah, exactly. And again, and you know, seeing you at these events, you know, and you know, it's like, you know, the familiarity, it builds that trust as well, right? Maybe someone might not want to deal with you the first time they meet with you, but then they see you at another event, then they see you at another one, and and they're like, whoa, this guy's everywhere. You know, maybe I should.
It's that perception.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what it's called? The law of attraction. The more they see somebody, they got to be part of them, right?
Exactly.
And you know what?
That's why you can find Richard everywhere around town.
Everywhere. But you know what I love about you, Dean? You do the same thing I do on the weekends. He's throwing content on even on the weekends. You know, little snips of here, videos and everything like that. And he's on Instagram. He's on every social media platform I can imagine.
Well, I'll see that now because we just got connected today, thankfully.
That's right.
Through the beauty of this program, we were able to get connected on LinkedIn because we weren't. So now I'm interested to connect and follow and enjoy the content.
Absolutely, likewise. But you know what? I got to say, Richard is on another level with his posts.
He really is. But I commend you.
From the United States, I'm from like Mars or something when it comes to content, right? I'm just, and I swear, Dean and John, everything that I put out there comes right from here.
Well, you know what? You bring up a good point, Richard. So, and I'm sure Dean's the same way. Anything that any of us put out there, it's from the heart and it's genuine and it's authentic. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that, to your point, Dean, you know, seeing that, and I love this, attention is the new currency. I'm so going to use that again. You know, people are like, oh, I got to get out there. So they're doing it for the sake of doing it. But is it genuine? People can sniff that out and it's not going to last. And eventually that's going to fizzle out. But a lot of people, including all of us here, have been doing this long before it came of age and became mainstream and became a necessity. So anyone who's been connected or follows us knows that what they're seeing is genuine, from the heart, passionate content. And, you know, we're not looking at, you know, polls or, you know, what do people want? We're sharing what we feel will add value.
So
John, that's such a great point. That is, sorry, go ahead, Richard.
No, I just really think, Dean, it's being you, you know, and I think that's what we all have to do. Is the content has to be you.
Yeah, and yeah, like I was saying, John, it's such a great point because, you know, people can tell if you're being genuine or not, and that makes a huge difference as to whether or not they want to deal with you as well, right? I mean, you can tell the difference between someone who's obviously scripted. You know, they've got this whole script going on, and they're like, oh, well, my name is, you know, blah blah blah, and I'm with you know whatever, right? But you see Richard's videos, and John, I haven't seen your content yet, but. I mean, it's different when you're genuine, when you're speaking from the heart and you're talking about, you know, what it is you want to share with the world, right? So 100% agree.
And you know what else I love about you, Dean, that we haven't seen? We never say now hiring. We're giving tips out, but we're never saying, we got all these jobs for you. That's an overplay. What do you think on that end?
Yeah, absolutely, right. And the way I see it, Richard, is that these are ways for you to keep people's attention, right? I mean, it's one thing to get someone's attention, but to be a consistent presence on someone's mind, like you have to throw in these tidbits of tips and advice and things of value to the people that you could potentially help. And it's just a great way to, again, be a consistent presence, right? Because people have their own problems, people have their own things going on in their lives. So it's important. It's very easy for people to forget about us as well.
So true.
Great point. Absolutely.
You know what I want to dive into now, John? Can I ask something real quick?
Go, man.
Here we go. Let's do it, man. The tech boards, so job boards. I've changed my views on job boards now in the last maybe month a little bit. So maybe I'm going to ride a job board now these days. But what's your take on the technology? I know Dice was like the number one thing. Is there anything else out there? Are you still using Dice? How do you get candidates, Dean?
Yeah. So I gotta let you guys know up front. I hate job boards now. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like it doesn't yield any good results. Now if you ask me this like back in like 2010 or 11 or something like that, I mean, it was a totally different story back then. But I'm just not seeing the same kind of responses on the job boards. Like I'd rather go through LinkedIn, go through my network and just using those approaches in identifying the passive candidates, right? And you know what? This might sound very old school, but one of my managers, like at one of the agencies I used to work at, I mean, he started in recruitment back in like the 70s and 80s, and he would just tell me about how they used to just call people right at their desk, right at work, and that's how they would build those relationships. So I actually utilize that way as well as another method of identifying these people. And I know it sounds very old school. I know some people out there be like, oh, that's so 1980s, Dean. You weren't even alive in the 1980s, but I love it. I use it. It's very effective. I mean, not everyone's gonna like it, but it's a great way of finding other people. So I think you got to be very creative and mix that in with a strong brand. And I think that's how you're gonna find people in the current environment.
I have to laugh with some of the recruiters that I train when they come to me and say, "Can we call people at their work?" And I'm like, yeah. What do you mean? Can you? You should be. It's like that's called recruiting.
Yeah.
And to your point, I started on an IT desk back when I got into recruiting because that's my background. I'm degreed in computer science. Don't go down that road. It didn't work out. But so I started in the tech space. And we used to do that. Matter of fact, we used to call companies after hours to get their automated recording, to get the extensions of all their programmers,
right? So
that we could call them back during the day and ask for their direct extension. And you were literally cold calling and dialing for dollars because we didn't have a Google or a LinkedIn or anything else to look up. Today, I always say you really don't ever have to make a true cold call today. You know something about the person you're going after. It's a very different landscape, and I welcome the technology because it saves time. But yeah, I embrace what you're doing. It may be old school, but it never goes out of style because it's all about building relationships, and that's really the only way to start building those relationships is to reach out and have a conversation.
So true, and in IT guys, they're always looking. Am I right?
Yeah,
never
have.
Absolutely.
always listening. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. You know what? And what's funny is I had a story real quick. I was recruiting for IT before, and I say, do you know anybody looking for a job? And they're like, well, hold on. Tell me about the job first before I refer my friend. Oh,
totally.
Good times. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Dean, what else are you doing out there? I know you got a podcast. Tell us about what's going on in your world.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, every week I have a live stream that I do on my LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter channels, and it's that one is more geared towards job seekers. So that's where I talk about some piece of job search or job interview tips and advice. And what I talk about really depends on what I experience during that week. Like I think the best source of ideas, by the way, for anyone else out there looking to start their own thing, is just what you encounter on a day-to-day basis as a recruiter, right? I mean, that's how I started posting stuff. I talk to candidates, they make some, crazy mistakes or error in how they were presenting themselves. And I'd go on LinkedIn and I post about it. Right. So I that's my live stream during the week. That's on Wednesdays. And also throughout the week, I just do quick 60-second tips on Instagram and TikTok. I don't do TikTok dances. So, don't get too excited about that. But
come on, Dean. We're going to do one soon, buddy. Me and you are going to team up for one. We got to now, man. The challenge is there.
Oh man, I want to see that.
Oh boy. You can pick the song, Dean, okay?
All right, sounds good.
How
Yeah,
how
so, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how fruitful have you found social media to be as a recruiting tool in the tech space?
Well, LinkedIn is probably, kind of the most effective platform. I can't say I figured out TikTok or Instagram too well, and the other platforms, but LinkedIn absolutely for sure, because people in my space in the tech industry over here, they use, a lot of people reach out to me saying that, hey, I saw your video, I saw your post, or so and so in my network recommended that I contact you. So LinkedIn has been very fruitful for me, like, and in identifying very talented people in the tech space, and it's gotten me a lot of into contact with a lot of people, and it's also gotten me clients as well on the business to business side of things as well.
Nice.
So, but that's been my experience, right? Because I'm not, in terms of the TikTok stuff and Instagram stuff, I'm not very creative with, how do you create those videos that go viral? Like, I'm not good at that.
You're not spending like 3 days creating one post?
No, not at all.
Hey, 30 seconds, right? In and out, Dean, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it for me. 60 seconds. I say what I got to say, and that's it.
When I look at some of the posts that people put out there, one of the thoughts that always goes through my mind is, how long did it take them to do that post?
I
And I'm
know,
sure some are
right?
very efficient with it,
Yeah.
but holy cow, all the takes and retakes and putting the
Oh.
verbiage and symbols and the arrows pointing here and the flashing this. I'm like, man, that's like a full-time job.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, and it's all fancy and stuff. You're like, no way this could have been done in like 60
Nobody
seconds.
even reads it, right? Or watches it. Somebody wants something, boom, in your face and done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my, good stuff, man. Dean, I got to ask you a question about the candidates now in the tech sector. What is going on? Are you guys seeing that it's taking a lot longer for them to get hired, or is it still that short, in and out?
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, and I would say overall, Richard, that some companies, some hiring managers, they're operating under the assumption that nothing's changed. Hey, it's just same old, and they're taking their own time in making decisions. So there are some cases where certain hiring teams, they're taking too long to make a decision, and just such an abundance of opportunity out there where people are getting competing offers, they're getting counter offers to stay where they are. So it's I think the biggest mistake that the hiring teams are making right now is probably taking too long to make a decision and not really moving quick on the people that they want to move ahead with, right? And I don't think they're doing it intentionally. It's just that a lot of people just think it's business as usual, nothing's changed, everything's the same. And I think that hiring teams need to be more educated on what the atmosphere really is like on the recruiting side of things. Because that's not something they're really exposed to the way we are, you and I are, for example, dealing with candidates on a daily basis, right? So I would say that's what I have observed in the market.
And it's interesting because some companies, if they're seasoned users of recruiting firms, they get it and they work well with recruiters. But if it's something new, let's say you're a company and you've had trouble getting talent of late, and you're now for the first time reaching out to partner with a recruiter. When that recruiter tells you, hey, here's my advice, you got to shorten your hiring cycle, this, that, and the other. Some of those companies are skeptical. They're like, well, I've never done this before, and you're trying to take control of me. You just want to make money. When in reality, to your point, Dean, this is what we do every day. We are out in the trenches talking to candidates, hearing what they're going through and seeing it. That's our job as recruiters 24/7, is we are in the labor market. And that's part of why they hire us and why they pay us money to find people, is because that's what we do day in and day out. So just like any other service, the companies have to, put their trust in us that we're not going to mislead them, because we're on the same page. We stand to gain and lose the same as them, whether or not we find talent or not.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also those cases, where there's companies that have maybe had bad experiences with other recruiters that they've tried to engage with. And now suddenly they think, hey, all recruiters are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. And, then they don't want to take, their other partners seriously. Like when we're trying to advise them, and then just like you said, John, they're like, yeah, this, just another recruiter trying to make a commission and, not taking us seriously. Right. So 100%.
What advice do you give recruiters who are trying to, sorry, Richard.
Oh, that's okay. Go
What advice do you give recruiters that are trying to take their productivity to the next level? A lot of times people will hit like a cap and, all right, I'm a good biller, but I want to be a great biller. How do you transcend and get beyond that cap of, going from good to great?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to get clear on what that next level is. Like you have to really clearly define what you're trying to aim for, right? And then kind of reverse engineer from there and figure out what opportunities exist for you to get to that target that you're trying to reach. Is it going to be focusing on specific types of roles? Is it going to be maybe building relationships with other certain account managers that are like top billers within the agency? So I would say get really clear on the target and then reverse engineer from there and figure out how you want to get there and what means you can use to kind of get yourself to where you want to be. The mistake I see many recruiters make is simply saying, hey, you know, I want to take things to the next level. I want to do this. I want to do that. Well, what is this and what is that? Right. So I think the most important thing is get really clear and really define it and, you know, actually write that number down on a sheet of paper.
Yes.
And then it's up to you to figure out what can I do? What opportunities can I create? What other relationships can I build here to get me to where that is? And if you know, obviously, and this might be the most obvious piece of advice is get advice from someone who is already there or who has exceeded this target that you're trying to aim for, you know, and those are the best people. Grab a coffee with them, you know, buy them
Great
that
advice.
coffee, meet with them, buy them, you know, pick their brains, try to find out because, and you know, in within the staffing industry, there's this, it's easy to kind of think, well, you know, we're competing against each other. You know, what reason do they have to want to sit down with me and help? But that's not the case. I mean, I haven't met a senior level, like someone more senior to me that didn't have that need. That wasn't okay with wanting to, you know, pass the torch down and, you know, share their own insights and advice and tips and all that stuff. Like I wouldn't know what I know. And I wouldn't be where I am if not for all those people way more senior than me, more seasoned than me that didn't take some time to provide me with advice and guidance and all that. So, and which brings me to the final point, put your ego aside, right? It's so easy to say, oh, well, you know, I'm a big shot, I'm a hot shot, you know, I don't need anyone's advice. I'm just going to go on YouTube or, you know, read some book. But you got to put the ego aside, folks. Like you got to be able to put the ego aside and actually go to someone and be like, hey, how do I become like you? How do I become a top biller like you? You know, I think that's the most important thing.
That's
I
awesome
love what you
advice.
said there, John. You know that the ego thing. I love it because all recruiters are the best, right? We all think we're the best.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to learn from everybody. I got to ask you a question, Dean. Now, when you have these interviews in the technology sector, how long are you? This is something that me and John always talks about. How long do you spend on the phone? How many follow-ups to get that candidate really qualified? It's not 2 minutes on the phone and gone. I know you spend a lot of time. How much time and effort do you put into this for each candidate?
Yeah, this is such a great question because this is where so many like you know, underperformers, like where they're doing it wrong, right? I spend at least at a minimum, you know, 20 minutes. I'd say at a minimum like 20 minutes somewhere around there, really getting to know the candidate and seeing if they have the right skills and experience, learning about their projects, learning about what they've done and all that stuff. So I'd say minimum 20 minutes. And you know, beyond that point, follow up. And also one of the most important conversations, by the way, which I don't think people speak about enough, is those post-interview feedback calls, like after the candidate's gone in for their interview, and really having that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so important, right? Because I hear so many people say, oh yeah, you know, yeah, they're good, you know, they're good to go and stuff like that. Well, how long were you on the phone with them? Oh, 5 minutes. Yeah, that's not going to cut it, right? It has to be like you have to really have a thorough conversation, really break down what happened at the interview, and you have to go into closing them, closing them, and making sure they're on board. Because look, ultimately, we don't want to waste our clients' time, right? We don't want to get them all gung ho about some candidate, only to have that candidate, you know, have like zero chance of even being interested in the role. And in terms of follow up, I mean, look, I don't see recruiting as an HR profession. I've always seen it as a sales function. So you got to follow up, right? And I think the statistic is it takes between 5 to 12 follow-ups to close a sale or something like that. So you have to be willing to continuously follow up. I'm not saying pester. I'm not saying, you know, bully someone into moving ahead in a process, but you have to use your persuasion skills, right? I mean, you have to see what angles you can take. You gotta you know, dedicate a lot of time to understanding what this candidate's wants and needs and career goals and ambitions are. And the better your understanding of that, you know, that's what's going to help you move forward creatively and help move things forward.
That was like reading from the gospel right there. I loved everything you just said.
Tell you what, John, Dean, man, he does it all, don't he, man? Right to the point.
He does it right.
No, you do it right, Dean. That's why I love you, man, as a friend, man. You are right on everything that we talked about today, man, so far. Wow. Hey, Johnny, we're going to wrap things up pretty soon here because I know Dean has a couple other appointments. Give us some takeaways from today, my man.
Holy cow! There are too many. This is one I might have to replay and watch, and I'm definitely going to share it with the recruiters that I train, because you're preaching. I love your philosophy and I love your mindset, Dean, as far as how you approach the business and the relationship aspect. There's a couple things, obviously, that I wrote down, as I always do. You said what we all have known: the power has shifted to the candidate. So you better be forging those relationships and find new ways to proactively get that talent. I love that you said attention is the new currency, and it's so true. People, perception is reality, and the more they see you, the more they perceive you as an expert. Hopefully you really are an expert. And then the part about, becoming a great recruiter and that big biller, I love that you said get clear where you want to be, get clear of your goal, and then re-engineer it, because you're right. It's not just enough to set a goal. You've got to then, all right, here's the goal. And then you got to backtrack to say, all right, well, how am I going to get to that goal? It's not just going to happen. I've got to map out and plan the steps necessary. And that's the re-engineering process of it, and tapping into those who have been there and already done it and learning from them. So huge amount of takeaways today, Dean. Thanks so much.
Hey, no worries. I'm glad I was able to help, and I'd love to have you guys on my show sometime as well.
Oh boy, that'll be chaotic, man. Get ready for that. But hey, Dean, any final thoughts on your end, man? I mean, you always have so great encouragement. You got a minute of final thoughts for everybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting is a wonderful, great, amazing profession, and I think the most important thing is you have to have a genuine liking and a genuine interest for people. If that component is missing, I've always seen that's been the biggest difference between people who do well in the recruitment space versus people that kind of transition in and out of it. You have to have that genuine interest in people, that genuine love for people, and wanting to get in communication, really getting to know people. And, I think transparency is the new thing now, right? I mean, the less you try to hide from people, the more you're transparent, the more they're going to appreciate that. And the more you're going to be able to build wonderful relationships over time and, be that go-to person for everyone out there that you can potentially help.
Wow. There it is. Hey, Dean, thank you so much. I'm going to sum it up like this, John and Dean. Passion equals placements. There it is right there, man.
Love that.
Very true.
Well, next week, everybody get ready. It's our 50th episode. We got a special. It's going to be exciting. We can't wait. See you next week on another episode. And look out for social media, because we'll be posting what's going to happen next week. Exciting stuff. Hey, Dean, thanks to you again so much, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dean. Take care, Richard.